And welcome to If My People Bible Reading. This is part 34, which is Genesis chapter 9 to 9:19. And I want all of you reading along as much as you can. For those who can't, I also have it on audio, a little thumb drive, and it was for the blind. And I've written it in Bible form, and this has also taken, I think it's 14 total years of writing and another 10 years, about 24 years of research to create this, If My People Bible. And but here we present it on video for you, so we want you to read along, and much of it we discuss it in the commentary. We want you to rightfully divide the word. Don't believe a word I'm saying. Check it out. Check out everything. You've got to test everything these days. And so, and I'm just basically saying when I say something, comment, and you don't see it real clear, um, when you completely go through the Bible from beginning to end, just like a normal book, and when you get to chapter 22 in Revelation, we hope and we pray that you then clearly see it. And the key is, well, then that's the end of the book. So now what? Start over, read it again. Quite frankly, I don't know. I've been through this 15, 20 times. I enjoy every single time, and I find out little nuggets every single time I read it. The first time, I would gladly admit to you that the 15th time, there's a lot more that I saw in the 15th that I probably wouldn't have seen it unless I read it the 5th, the 6th, the ninth, the 10th, the 12th, the 13th, and then the 15th. So it took like 15 times for it soaked in. And quite basically, I say, what was my problem? Am I stupid? No, I don't think so. No more than anybody else. But congregating with other believers, and not congregating with institutionalized churches that simply told you who got you in this Christmas stuff, the Christmas stuff, the Santa Claus, and the whole thing. It really messes you up because you really start believing that December 25th or 24th was the birth of Jesus Christ. No, it wasn't. It's not even close. You can look at the Mazzaroth, and you can do this online, or you can do it through going to a library, and we go to the library a lot. And you can look up the star formations and the planet formation, especially the planet formation, because back those days, people called the wandering stars when there were no stars at all. They weren't wandering, they were planets. And these planets, all this out there in the sun, the moon, the stars, the Mazareth, everything is out there for you to see the glory and the majesty of Yeshua. And plus, he gives you all kinds of clues, and you can understand why the people in the Far East watched the stars around 5 to 4 BCE, saw where Venus, the moon, saw where Virgo was, the virgins, saw where Boots, the system was of Boots, meaning with child, and all this to realize I got to travel to the West because I see that a salvation is being born through the womb of the Virgin, through the womb. Venus is coming through the womb of her and come out her right hand holding on to branches. All that means a lot of stuff as we go through it. So that's why we go through this Bible the way it is being done, and we're going through word for word from the very beginning to the end. So in chapter 9, um, we now have Elohim blessing Noah and his sons, saying to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number and fill the earth." They're coming off of the ark, and the beasts that were in there, humans, the other humans that were considered beastly because they were hairy. A lot of them were hairy people in those days. Think about it. Those that the Nephilim had relations with, and the women of those days, those people may have been have not the ruach in them, but once Cain had sexual relationships with the people of in the land of Nod and so forth, where he built cities for all those people. His seed got into their seed and mix. So they're mixed multitudes. These people are no more lost than anybody else when they accept Yeshua as their Savior through the Father, because they have the seed, the breath of life. Where did the breath of life come from? Adam. And Adam and Eve. And then through Cain, who had the breath of life in him through his mother, Eve, thus the rest of the world's population, all the 257 varieties of cultures and ethnic groups and races and so forth. Everybody's races, so that's where Caucasian came from. That's where Indian American Native Indians they're called Indians because, well, they call themselves Indians too, but Eskimos and Chileans and the black races and the brown races and the people from India, all these races, they came from the ark because the Father, Abba, guided them on. It wasn't Noah who picked and chose. It was the Father who chose them, and they came off and they were to be blessed like everybody else. And through the seed of Abraham, when we get into it very soon, it's the same situation. It's the same. So they all have a path to salvation through the seed of Abraham. Doesn't mean that am I directly related to Abraham? It doesn't make a difference. It is the seed through Abraham. Who is the seed? Yeshua. He is that seed. And all the tribes that came out of it, the 12 tribes of Abraham through his son, through his wife, and then the 12 Ishmaelites, the 12 tribes that came through Ishmael, also blessed, also promised a blessing from the Father, and also given a blessing from Abraham. They all, there's 24 tribes now. Start thinking, because you don't hear this in institutionalized churches and Orthodox synagogues. So they're all being blessed here. And as we'll read on in chapter 9 to 19, is that Ham wasn't thinking too well. And then Ham had a son named, and then through Canaan, Abraham's grandson, who Abraham, by the way, never used the word grandson in those days, so he called him his son, his youngest son. Well, that doesn't mean that Abraham had Canaan, but he came through Ham, so he still called him his youngest son. So if there was 14 generations after that, they'd all be the sons of Abraham. Get it? Okay, I hope you do. The fear of dread of you will fall among all the beasts of the earth. Now they start eating meat. And is that okay? Well, that's not kosher. People should be, even today, vegetarians and all these other things. Really? Angels ate meat. The two angels, the two messengers, and Yeshua, the three of them came and ate meat with Abraham. So all those, when Yeshua was on this earth in his earthly form, in his first advent, he ate fish, plus bread and other things, but he ate everything that was laid before him that was correct to eat, that the Father said was good to eat. There will always be things that are not good to eat, like eating spiders. People get into such 100 different religions just over what I've said. Just they need to settle down a little bit. But there's some kosherut coming here on verse 4, but you must not eat meat with its lifeblood still in it. By the way, it's a smart thing to do. Roadkill. Can you eat roadkill and be okay? Most people can. Don't. Is it a smart thing to do? No. Should people eat shellfish? Most people do from South Carolina, where I'm from. Is it smart and intelligent? Especially people from South Carolina. I used to sit there and talk to them going, why do you do this? Why do you eat all the animals of the earth that filter the water to keep this earth clean? That's one of the first commandments, the first Torah commandments in Genesis that Yahweh said to Adam and all his descendants. That's us. Take care of the garden. And how do you take care of the garden? Take care of the water that's at the top of the hill. My brother Brad, that's one of his top big things. The water starts off very clean at the top of the mountain. By the time it gets to the estuaries at the bottom, it's filthy. And people eat out of that. Oh, well, we boil it and then we cook everything in oil and salt and butter. And boy, it's good. I can eat manure if you put enough butter, salt, and sugar in it, if you think about it. But that's what so many people do who think, well, I love this earth. I wouldn't dare hurt this earth. Well, yeah, look what you're eating. You're killing the water fields because you're eating all the fish that have downward mouths like catfish. Don't eat catfish because they keep the earth clean. Don't eat pigs because they keep the earth clean. But bacon and yeah, if you ever ate bacon from a pig that has not been processed, so it's good with maple and salt and salt and salt and then it's just jammed full of sugar and other things to make it taste good, you wouldn't eat it. You'd hate it. It's like eating spam all day long. Blech. But I'm just saying, if you have a thing about pigs and it's okay as long as you get above 185 degrees for 15 minutes, it's okay to eat. Wrong. Other animals like that are meant to take care of our planet. All right. And it says it right here in Genesis, right from Bart. It's not when we get to all the Torah that Moses gives you. It's already, there's a bunch of Torah we're going through in the Genesis. And then when we get in the New Covenant, there's 1,050 Torah commands that, unfortunately, Hebrew Roots doesn't even touch. Doesn't even touch. They go straight to Torah weekly portions that Orthodox Jews who hate Jesus Christ tell them to read every week, and guess what? They do it like clockwork. Why? That's why now, last time I checked, there's around 37 different groups of Hebrew roots that don't get along with each other. They all want to fuss and argue, that think they know more than the sheep Christians do, when in fact they know a lot. They just don't have the original love that the Father gave them to follow the Torah commands in the Old and the New Covenant. Straight to you, I'm telling you, and I'm looking at a bunch of you, and you know who you are. Whoever sheds the blood of man, don't go out and kill people. Don't do it. As for you, be fruitful, increase in number, multiply the earth, increase upon it. And that they did. This is verse 12. And Elohim said, "This is the sign of the covenant I am making between me and you and every living creature, a covenant for all generations to come. I have set my rainbow," which still exists today, to prove that there's water. There's a lot of water in the air, and if the Father would ever let that go, there's incredible floods that would occur all over this earth. Horrible floods. But he made a promise, and that's never going to happen. It's not going to happen. So Elohim, now in verse 17, said to Noah, "This is the sign of the covenant I have established between me and thee and the life of the earth." Many Christians often say that Yahweh does not talk to them. I've heard that so much. Well, Bruce, do you hear from the Lord every day? Yes, I do. You do? How could that possibly be? Are you some kind? No. I hear from him every day. I read the Word. Every time I read the Word, something comes out of it. I start from beginning to end. I read it like a book, and then I start all over again. Now I'm on like 21st time. I'm hearing from the Father every day, and I'm learning new things. I don't repeat anything. Everything always seems to be new, applied to what I need when I need it. And how do I talk to him? Do I get on my knees? Do I do a certain stance? Do I stand a certain way? Do I say a certain thing? Do I repeat a certain thing over and over again every day? Do I sing the same songs in church every Sunday at the same time every week? No. I simply talk to the Father because the Father wants to talk to you. And that's what happens between Noah until he finally decides that he's off and he's going to plant a vineyard and all the good stuff that comes after that. So we'll see you then.